Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Want to bet? Then get in on the action at Sports Interaction. The boys of summer are back on the diamond, and March Madness is on deck. Bet pregame, live and play, or on one of our many prop bets. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. Or in Ontario, download the app now using the QR code in the bottom of the screen. 19 plus, please play responsibly. Maple Leafs fans, welcome back to Game Over Toronto on this wonderful Saturday night. I am your host, Lauren Williamson. We have Fouad over here to your right-hand side of your screen, and our
we beat Montreal.
West Coast captain, the West Coast captain of the Maple Leafs fan club, my friend Kurtis. Welcome to Game Over, Kurtis. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yes, sir. Go Leafs, hey! What a win.
What a win.
I'm so jazzed. I'm so jazzed to have Kurtis on. He is objectively, and they've done scientific research here, the biggest Leaf fan in Alberta. That's without, probably one of the biggest of all time, I would have to say, Mr. Kurtis.
You know what? We're all. I just get a little louder at times and have a lot of stuff. But there's so many amazing Leaf fans out there. It's Leaf Nation. Yes, sir. Go Leafs.
Absolutely. And we're really glad we had you on for a Maple Leafs win because I needed that jolt of energy today. So we really appreciate you coming on here. And on what was the heels of a blockbuster trade, the Leafs went in with Ryan O'Reilly, who just was in St. Louis yesterday. He lived in St. Louis yesterday and now lives in Toronto all of a sudden. And then he played a hockey game, which is pretty wild to think about it. But yeah, what did you think about the last 24 hours, including this game here?
Oh, it shows that Dubas is going all in, right? Like picks are awesome, but if Matthews, heaven forbid he walks at the end of next season, we can't afford to keep Willie. We lose some of these guys. What good are these picks going to do for us, right? So we don't need to win it all right now. I know Leaf fans want to win the cup, and that's awesome, but we do need to get second or third round. We got to show progress. Another first round punting, and it's going to sting, especially when O'Reilly walks and Achari at the end of the season. It's going to sting when those draft picks go somewhere else.
Yeah, my thoughts exactly. So when I first saw the trade, I don't know about you, but I was like, I looked at the picks. For a second, I was like, we all get the sticker shock when we see, first round pick. Ooh. Like, you get that shiver down your spine. But then I kind of realized, I think about it, I'm like, listen, if they, God forbid, I'm hitting all the wood here, lose in the first round, they're going to get picks either way because there's going to be changes. So it's either, if you're heading towards that fork in the road, you might as well go for it, right? And like you said, the draft picks are kind of magic beans. Like, it's like if you were buying a car and then it was like, instead of paying $30,000, you give them a big bag of cash for life lottery tickets, right? So
yeah, look at like Zetterberg, Datsuk, Johnny Gaudreau. When did those guys get picked? They weren't picked in the first, second, or third round. So we could give those guys up in their bust and we go pick a stud in the fourth round, right? It's magic beans, like you said.
Absolutely. And I think that Kyle Dubas has shown us that he can take picks farther out of the draft or take people that were even undrafted, right? And turn them into people that are leading this team. Like, Michael Bunting wasn't drafted in the first 5 rounds. Wasn't Michael Bunting undrafted?
Well, he was a rookie at like 26 years old or 27 years old. So he's to your point, he is someone that you kind of just plucked out of nowhere.
Yeah. And he seems to be good at finding these people. And so while in a perfect world, I would have all of my first round picks for Kingdom Come, but that's just not how you have to do business. And it is showing that Dubas is all in. I'm all in. Fouad, you're all in. And Kurtis, we all know you are all in on this team. And
I'm in deep already. I'm in way already.
Well, and you're wearing your Engvall bucket, for good luck. And your man produces tonight, getting the second goal, putting them what ends up being the game tying goal. And boy, it was good to see the Leafs come out on top after playing a game the other night that was not ideal. Not ideal.
No, they said something about Saturday night against Montreal. They normally play us tougher than they did tonight. Like there's there's not a lot of blowout wins the Leafs against Montreal on Saturday.
Not a lot of wins in general.
100%. But I'll take it. Yes, sir. What a night. Stoked.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, to your point, I did find that they did play them tough. Like, this Montreal team is not Chicago Blackhawks. They are not. They're competitive. They have a lot of good players. They're well coached, and like they're going to be a problem very, very soon for the Leafs. But that's tomorrow's problem. But yeah, like, they never give the Leafs a quarter. And even in this game, I felt that Engvall goal really broke their spirit a little bit, because Montreal was buzzing. They had like two odd man rushes, and then all of a sudden Engvall, just good things happen when you throw it at the net. It just finds its way in. So he helped us switch the momentum for sure.
And he got that goal off of what was a really strong shift from him, right? Like, he takes it behind the net, is putting crazy pressure on the Hab that had it, takes it and then scores, and it ends up being the game-winning goal. And he's played so well in the last 2 weeks. Since we've come back from the break, he's been fantastic. And if he keeps producing at that level, he's gonna really help our bottom six, considering we haven't really been getting a lot of scoring from that. Kurtis, what did you think of Ryan O'Reilly's play tonight? He did get a point on what I believe was the 3-1 goal, right?
You know what? He's just exactly as advertised. Like, I think he's only got, I could be wrong, you guys are more stats than me, but I think 18 or 19 points this season. Like, he's not
19.
Yeah, so he's not a point per game guy, but what he's going to do is the things that Tampa has done to us in the first round, in Boston, those little chippy corner plays that the refs don't catch, or that guy that'll go in and just stir things up. He's that guy. He's the guy that'll go in front of the net and just battle, and we haven't had that guy in years in Toronto. So he's going to be a difference maker, in my opinion.
Yeah, he also brings pedigree, right? Like, 2019 was 4 years ago, which is kind of crazy, but he was the Conn Smythe winner in 2019. And like, that's kind of the epitome of playoff leadership that the Leafs kind of need, right? Like, so my thinking, and what I think Dubas is thinking, is that he's looking at this team and he's like, look, we got to get a guy to just push them over the hump. Like, every season they've gone down to the final game in the playoffs and they couldn't push it over the goal line, so to speak. But what he's doing here, also Kyle Dubas is saying, listen, guys, I'm doing my job right now. I'm giving you the ingredients. It's like, it's up to you, Mitch Marner. It's up to you, Austin Matthews, John Tavares, Ryan O'Reilly, everybody. It's on you guys. Are you going to take it this year? And that's what I see from Kyle Dubas. He's throwing down the gauntlet. He's saying, look, it's on you guys now. I did my job.
And I feel like Mitch Marner, Magic Mitchy Marner. Sorry, I'm getting loud on your podcast.
No, you're great. I love it.
I'm such a big fan of that guy, and I feel like he looks like a different player this year. He looks grown up. These guys are growing up. You got to remember, they were just kids, right? Rookies thrown into the mecca of hockey. Win a playoff series with all the pressure, and growing. And I feel like they just look different this year. Matthews, more defensive. He's not scoring 60. We don't need it because Willie's scoring now. Marner's doing what he's doing, right? So it's just they look different. I know Leaf fans have said this before, but I just feel like this year is different. Something feels different about it.
And
totally.
It looks like Kyle Dubas would agree with you, right? Last year, he didn't go out and do this because, he even said in the documentary a couple of years ago that, like, he was getting Foligno, but that he's only going to go in as hard as the team is. And it's clear that he thinks that they've worked hard enough to earn that big trade, right? And for Kyle Dubas to put it out at 10 minutes before 11 on a Friday night is the funniest thing ever, because that's what he's doing at 11 o'clock at the night, right? And I think that it's going to be great for us in the long run. And I was looking at some of the highlights today in the middle of the afternoon, and Ryan O'Reilly got the first goal in Game 7 against Boston in 2019, right? And it was a tip from Bouwmeester, and with 3 minutes left to go in the first period, and it ends up being, the first goal in their destiny run. And if we can get just a teensy bit of that magic, even though it was a couple years ago, I think it's going to be huge for us. And his body positioning tonight was great. even though he looked a little bit flustered with Mitch Marner on the ice, I think he just hasn't played with anybody that moves that quickly and thinks that quickly. And I think it's probably going to take a couple days for him to adjust to how quick Mitch does play the game, to your point, Kurtis. And I think once he gets caught up in that, and once he gets on the same playing field and understands where he's going to move and to always be ready, I think he's going to be a huge game changer for us, especially in the playoffs.
Or do you put him on the third line as a center, right? Do you have Matt first line, JT in the second, and have the greatest third line in all of hockey, right? That's the other side of it. Is, do you force him up in the second line, or do you move him down to the third line? And Kiva, and I say this wrong every time, don't judge me. Yarncroke, I call him Jean Rock all the time. Yarncroke,
Yarncroke, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, he's been playing really well, right? So I don't know. It's just it's tough to. I don't know if you move him to the third line or you leave him up with Mitchie. I don't know.
Well, I think, Sheldon Keefe is a chronic tinkerer. I think, like he said, he couldn't sleep last night. I kind of envisioned him like in Good Will Hunting, like Matt Damon, just writing like equations and like how many lineups he can do, because there's a lot of lineups you can pull off with this team here. But what I kind of thought of was, I think Kyle Dubas wants to make up for the Nazem Kadri mistake, because that was the vision before, like when they first signed John Tavares. It was, we have three amazing centers down the middle. Now it's
the
Ryan
three-headed
O'Reilly's
dragon, I think is what they used to call it, right?
It's very mythical, three-headed dragon. I mean, dragons are already mythical, so, but Ryan O'Reilly may not be as good as Kadri was then, but I kind of am getting the sense that that's what they want. They want three lines with three top-level centers.
No, 100%. And yeah, this team is just, I feel like we're so deep, and I'm a very biased Leaf fan because I'm very positive.
I couldn't tell.
like life is so short. Like I stopped letting the game affect me many years ago. Life is too short to get upset about it. But yeah, I just feel like this team is so deep and there's so much talent on it. And we're only going to have it. It reminds me of the Blue Jays, not hockey related, but when they had like Donaldson and Martin and that dream together, I just feel like this is the chance we have with all these guys together, because we're going to start losing guys, and this is our time. So we got to do it this season. I feel like we're going to do it this season.
Yeah, like when people say, like, I mean, everyone's, people, most Leaf fans, I think it's mostly coming from Leaf haters. But honestly, it's one of those things, a large percentage of the fan base seems to be on board with the move and like not thinking it's too much. But like some people are like, oh, you gave up a first-round pick for this guy. And it's like not taking a risk in itself is a risk, because like this is the best Leafs team probably of all time as far as talent-wise. I'm pretty sure I wasn't alive in 1967, so I couldn't tell you. But I'm pretty sure this is the most talented team they've ever had. And like not giving them every chance to beat their demons and go to the Cup final. It's like, what are you going to look at that first round pick that you get and it ends up being like Tyler Biggs, and you're like, wow, we have this guy because we didn't want to go for the Cup in 2023. So I'm with you, man. YOLO.
Well, yeah, you end up with Yakupov, right? Oh yeah, I don't want O'Reilly. That's too much. Let's just get Nail Yakupov in the first round instead. Right, that's exactly what it is. So you know what?
Magic beans, yeah.
Great trade.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Awesome, yeah.
And someone in the chat, Zach Simpkins, Kurtis, wants to know how your trip to Toronto was last month.
Oh, it was awesome. I got to have a few drinks with that pretty lady right there. It was amazing. It was just awesome being with my people. I hang out with mannequins out here in Alberta. You know what I mean? Literally, I watched a game next to that dude. So it was just nice being with my people, and just everybody was blue and white and cheering, and it was just absolutely incredible. Thank you.
When you were there, I think the Islanders game, you were at one of them, right? And I remember they had a pretty poor first period, and I literally said on the stream, I'm like, my sources have said that Kurtis went to the locker room and hyped them up, and then they just came out and just absolutely lit hell on fire for the next two periods. So I give you credit. My sources have seen you near the locker room area talking to the team. So
yeah, it was. I wish I lived out there. I feel like I'm. There's a lot of Leaf fans in Alberta. Where I'm from, there's a lot of Oilers fans. Like even my son's an Oilers. because his buddies are Oilers fans and their dads are Oilers fans.
Yeah.
So it's it's weird. I go out in my hockey helmet, and it's weird anyway wearing a hockey helmet outside the house. But going out in Alberta is even more weird. And anyway, and packing mannequins into the house, like my neighbors already think I'm a weird dude. So,
the mannequins.
Just-
Where'd you get the mannequin? Did you like you bought them? You didn't like go to like the store and just
That's theft, Fouad.
I know. I'm not calling him a thing. I'm just making sure.
No, I got a few of them on Amazon, and then my wife found two at a Calgary store that was going out of business. So that's where
right on.
Calgary, and I picked them up and I loaded them in the vehicle. And I remember carrying a torso in with one arm and a few with the other arm, and I was walking in the house, and I was doing it in the intermission, so I was wearing my bucket and looking out the window, and I was like, what the hell is this guy thinking right now? The neighbor's got a hockey helmet on, he's packing in mannequins, right? So it's so
Well, if they ever ask, just send them the link to any of your videos. Just send them the link to your Twitter. That's amazing. Well, and you have a large collection, and like you said, when we met last month, which was awesome, it was great to meet you, and it was great to talk to you. You talked about the fact that so many people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're able to have any kind of life with all that merchandise. But you've been collecting merchandise for a long time.
Yeah, it's been like 16, 17 years, right? Being in Alberta, this stuff, I don't have a store I can walk into and just bunch of stuff. It's one piece at a time I see online. Oh, an Engvall bucket, I'll get it. And then the next time, oh, a Wendell Clark photo, right? And it's just one piece at a time, and then it turns into this. But it's been a long time. I just started sharing on Twitter because I was lonely. I was like, I'm out here hooting and hollering in my basement. I didn't just start slamming beer in the last year. This has been a practice. And I was like, you know what? I went on to Twitter, Leafs Nation, and I saw how dark it was after some losses. And I was like, wow, like, why is this place so dark? I'm just going to get on there and just be a light and nothing but positivity and kindness and see what happens. And it's been incredible.
Well, and it works. Like you have so many people following you just because of your positivity, and because even when the games aren't going well, you don't let it get you down, and you're just like, okay, well, on to the next one. Here we go. And even when they do play poorly, like the rest of us, even though we sometimes get frustrated with them, and sometimes it might get the better of us when they get knocked out in the first round so many times. But we're all coming back year after year because we can't help ourselves, because we love it. And while I might not have as many jerseys as you, it doesn't matter how many jerseys you have. You can be as big of a Leaf fan as you want to be, right? Like some people, I didn't have a Leaf jersey, honestly, for a long time. Until like 6 or 7 years ago, I never owned a Leaf jersey because I just wasn't in a place where I was able to afford it. And now, I'm lucky enough to be able to have it, and I'm getting a larger collection, maybe not as big as yours, Kurtis, but it doesn't matter how much merch you have. You can be a fan as much as you want to be a fan, and no one can tell you how much you are allowed to love your team.
No, 100%. And that's why I get uncomfortable anytime I hear super fan, because I'm no different than anybody else. Just because I have stuff, whether a person, like you said, has one jersey, a pencil, a car flag, they're the same fan. Yes, I sometimes get a little more intoxicated and yell a little louder, and you know what I mean? And I have stuff, but we're all the same fan. That's why I don't like the whole super fan thing. I just want to be a part of Leaf Nation. I want to be next to every single other person and just celebrate the team. That's all I want to do.
Yeah, and see, that's something I really do respect, and like you kind of remind us of like why we're watching it. Like at the end of the day, no one's forcing us to watch the game, right? So it's it's your passion. You should be happy about your passion all the time, right? It's not like, they suck. I mean, you could say that. So I'm not saying, we all say that, but it's like, if it's actually getting you down, you probably want a different hobby, right? So we really appreciate that kind of perspective you bring. You're like, hey, this is fun. This is a sport we like to watch. So at the end of the day, we always try to, on this show, we always just try to laugh about it, laugh through the pain.
Well, they're people, right? They just like me. I wake up and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do my laundry today. I'm not doing it. I'm just going to lay around on the couch, except these guys, they have to throw on skates and play hockey. And yeah, they get paid a lot of money, but that doesn't mean that they're always feeling good. They're not battling injuries. We don't know. Look at Soup 2 years ago. people were tearing him apart and sending him hate mail and just destroying him online, and then find out he had a few cracked ribs or whatever it was, and he was playing through the injury. And then people are like, "Oh, sorry." It's just like, well, you shouldn't have done it. It's just a sport. It's a game.
Yeah. Try doing anything, let alone play a professional sport with cracked ribs.
100%.
You can't even sneeze without yelling in agony. So I mean, no, I see what you're saying. That's one dark. That's like one thing. I'm like, whenever these losses happen, I'm like, for the love of God, please don't go on Twitter. Please don't go and then shoot messages at these guys. Like, just be frustrated. You can be like, yeah, team sucks or whatever. Like, you can. I'm not saying we all do that, but at the end of the day, it's like, just leave their people still. Like, it's all still theater. It's all a game, right? So, but yeah, we all appreciate that perspective that you bring. You kind of bring us back to why we actually do this, why we actually watch and enjoy it.
It's fun. It's all about the team, right? It's yes, sir, go Leafs. That's what it's about, buddy.
Absolutely.
Yes,
and it's like you said, it is just about us being fans and just being a family, right? Just a family of fans. And you don't have to live in Canada to be a Leafs fan. Victoria Stewart lives in Scotland. One of our admins for SDPN lives in England. Like, I know that there are Leaf fans in Australia and New Zealand that listen to the show and watch this show and hopefully hit like and subscribe, even though if they live far away. And, it doesn't matter how much stuff you have, as long as you're a fan and you're not attacking people when they make mistakes. Because everybody makes mistakes. No one ever lives their life perfectly without making mistakes. And sometimes professional athletes don't make plays that we think that they should, but they're still people. And if you're going onto their social media and bashing them as people, like, maybe talk to somebody that's a professional about that, because it is a game. It's a game. It's vulcanized rubber being chased by 12 men on the ice on knife shoes. Okay? If you make your whole life about it and you let it dictate how you live your life, maybe take a break. Maybe take a deep breath. Go touch some grass. Get off the rink and not let it ruin your entire existence, because it's just a game.
And everybody gets frustrated. Don't get me wrong. I'm not all unicorns and rainbows. When the Leafs lose a Game 7, I don't say, shucks, well, next year, and go upstairs and do a cartwheel. But I'm not going to go online and call them pathetic and burn jerseys and all that, because I know, like you said, I'm going to be back the next year, and I'm going to look pretty stupid and wish I had that Marner jersey I burned, or that player that I said was pathetic. Well, now they're leading the team in scoring, like Willie. That man's taken a beating since he's been a Leaf. Look at him now. Like, I got a man. I'd hug the mannequin, but it's weird. But you know what? I like Billy. Yes, sir. And people have been beating that guy for years, and he's having a hell of a year. I'd be sad to lose him.
Absolutely. He's been getting better literally every year that he's been with the Leafs. He's just incrementally better year over year over year. And now he's leading the Leafs in scoring, and rightfully so. Every year that he's played, he's gotten better at his game. And this year he's getting better. Bunting is getting better too. Today, with the 2 one-timer shots from almost the exact same spot, like, everybody seems to be clicking really well. And as long as they can keep that momentum going and keep playing as hard as they have, we've gotten lucky the last couple weeks where, we had an unfortunate game against Chicago, but the game before that against Chicago, we played great. And it seems like they are slowly starting to have fewer of the games where they're punching down to their opponents and getting just completely dummied by them, right? Like, historically, even at the beginning of this year, if you think about how they were playing in October and how the California road trip went, they were playing so bad against teams that weren't very good. And I was really worried about looking at the schedule for this month because, on paper, they should be dominating every single team that they're playing. But we know that I looked at the schedule and I was like, well, we're going to be lucky if we play 500 this month, honestly, because so many of the opponents are in those, the bottom half of the 16, like the bottom 16 of the league. And I'm so grateful that they've decided to slowly phase out games like that, because they are frustrating.
100%. It's I was nervous as well when I saw that, because we seem to play so well against the upper teams, and then the lower teams is whatever. That Western road swing, I thought half the Leaf fans were going to jump off a cliff. Like, that first Western swing against when we lost to the Ducks when we were winning and the lead, and then the Sharks, and like, I stayed off social media. It was a nightmare on social media. We're getting better. We're getting better.
Oh, that was I always say about that beginning of that part of the season, like it's so funny how we're like celebrating. Oh, Ryan O'Reilly, like we're going for it in the big like right about Halloween time. Like it was like October 29th or 30th when they lost to Anaheim. It was literally a different plane of existence that time to this time. Like I couldn't even conceive of this season going the way it did. How it started, where everyone was like, trade Marner for a second rounder, get rid of everybody, fire Sheldon Keefe, fire
Dubas,
everybody, fire the concession staff, everybody was done. People were done with this team, and then they went home to Philadelphia, and it was like, okay, this is your time. Like this is make or break, and I think they saved everyone's job with that game, and they haven't looked back really since. So.
Yeah, it's an incredible team. We're gonna do something special this year. I've said it since day one, and that's one thing I'll tell you. If we win the cup, nobody can ever look back and say, you know what, Kurtis from Alberta's a bandwagon. I can tell you that nobody will ever look back because I'm with them, win or lose. And there's so many people like talking to Lauren. I had such a great dinner with her. Like the chats we had about the puck shooting defenseman. I wasn't aware the Leafs had there's so little goals from the point this season. She filled me in on that. And I watch every game, right? So it was just, we're doing something special this year. I hope we get maybe a defenseman with a booming slap shot. That could be maybe the final piece, but we're doing something special this year. We're beating Tampa in the first round. And I wouldn't want to play us in the second round. We get out of the first round. Everybody wants to play us in the first round. Nobody wants to play us in the second because Toronto will light on fire. I will be there every day, and I'll be walking in the middle of your damn streets. Yes, sir! Screaming at the top of my lungs, and there's going to be many more like me. So you know what? Go Leafs, go. I got to duck out. I'm sorry. My mother's visiting, so I got to duck out. But I want to sincerely thank you for having me on your podcast. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And if we get to the second round of the playoffs, Kurtis, maybe we could have you back if you were able. You know, if you would consider it. I don't want to keep you from your mom any longer, but we're probably back. Why don't we just sign off here, Fouad? Do you want to sign off with us quick, Kurtis?
Sure.
All right. Well.
Yeah, guys. So, all right. Well, everybody. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. It's coming out, but I just gotta tease the next episode here because it's gonna come out. So next episode, guys, you want to tune in. It's gonna be February 19th, tomorrow, 6 p.m. against Chicago. Right after, we're gonna have none other than Sid Sixero will be joining us live after the game. Tune in and join the fun.
Absolutely.
Again, my name is Fouad Suleiman. You can follow me at Fouad_sports.
I am Lauren Williamson. You can follow me on Twitter at Lauren6Kurtis. This is when you're going to boost yourself. What do you got going on? Make sure you tell everybody what your Twitter handle is if they don't know where they can find you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm Kurtis from Alberta at LeafGuy403. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on tonight. Leafs win over the Habs Saturday night, hockey night in Canada, 5-1. Have a fantastic night, everybody. And we will see you tomorrow.
One more time, Kurtis. Yes, sir.
One last
yes,
one.
Sir.
Yes, sir. Go Leafs!
Go Leafs, go, everybody. Have a great night.
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.